I was reborn, back to the day before Richard Bennett and Eleanor Bennett decided to find their long-lost daughter. Last time, I went with them willingly. I thought blood meant belonging. I thought wealth meant safety. I was wrong! 3 days after I stepped into the Bennett mansion, the global extreme freeze began. Temperatures dropped to -70 degrees Fahrenheit. Power grids collapsed. Supply chains snapped like cheap thread. I was the only one in that marble palace who understood what was coming. I grew up with Mary Collins, a woman who could stretch flour, salt meat, and survive winter storms that swallowed entire towns. She taught me that food is power, eat is life, storage is dignity. So I told them to stockpile food, fuel, medical supplies. But Olivia Bennett, their delicate, perfectly manicured princess, laughed.
Honestly, Nora,
She said, twirling a strand of glossy hair.
if the world is ending, it's going to be boring. We should at least buy some consoles, luxury bags, wine. Mental wealth matters more. As for food, 100 pounds is more than enough.
I was about to argue. Then I saw it. The look in Eleanor's eyes. The quiet disgust in Richard's expression.
Don't bring that rural scarcity mindset into our home.
Richard said coldly.
Olivia is right. 100 pounds is plenty for years.
Years. It lasted 13 days. On the 14th, the pantry was empty. On the 15th, they opened the front door.
Since you're so capable,
Eleanor said, wrapping her fur coat tighter around herself.
go find more.
They shut the door behind me. I walked into a white death storm. The snow swallowed the street. The air burned like acid in my lungs, and I froze, standing upright, alone. This time, I opened my eyes in my old apartment. Peeling paint, rusted heater, the faint hum of the city outside. I laughed. Family, what a joke. This time, I don't want love. I want money, their money, and I will use it to build something that cannot be abandoned. A fortress that does not beg. A bunker that does not forgive. The next morning, a black Maybach stopped in front of my building right on schedule. Precision, performance, reputation. Very Bennett. Richard Bennett stepped out first. Tailored coat, controlled posture. Then Eleanor Bennett, cashmere, diamonds. Grief carefully arranged across her face like expensive makeup. They looked at me with guilt, and something uglier. Assessment.
So you're Nora.
Eleanor said softly.
We're your parents. We've come to bring you home.
She reached for my hand. I stepped back.
Home?
I smiled.
Your home is not mine.
Last life. That gentle tone fooled me. I thought I had finally been chosen. In reality, I was an inconvenience they were trying to manage. Because in their eyes, I would never compare to Olivia Bennett. 18 years of investment. 18 years of love. I was just a biological correction. Richard's jaw tightened.
We know this is difficult, but Olivia is innocent. We raised her. She's part of this family. You'll be sisters. We expect you to get along.
Sisters?
I almost laughed.
I wouldn't dare.
I didn't waste time. I didn't cry. I didn't beg.
I know why you're here.
I said calmly.
You want this handled quietly?
Silence. I raised my hand. 5 fingers.
$50 million.
Eleanor gasped.
That's absurd.
Richard's expression darkened.
Nora Collins, we intend to compensate you, but don't be greedy. Greedy?
I let my eyes travel slowly over his watch, her diamond bracelet, the car behind them.
18 years?
I said evenly.
15 million to sever blood ties. Is that expensive? To me, your affection is worthless. I only accept wire transfers.
They stared at me as if I were something feral, so I gave them the alternative.
Or I can walk to Bennett Group headquarters today. With a banner. I'm sure the media would love a story about how the chairman abandoned his biological daughter while pampering a substitute.
Richard's hand trembled. Interesting. I learned that move from Olivia's biological parents in my previous life. They blackmailed the Bennetts, took the money, vanished. Now it was my turn. Richard and Eleanor exchanged a long look. Reputation won. It always does.
Fine.
Richard said through clenched teeth.
You'll have the money, but from this moment forward, you are no longer a Bennett.
I held his gaze.
Deal.
The transfer came through within the hour. $50 million. Clean, legal, immediate. I even smiled politely.
Thank you.
They left without looking back. The Maybach disappeared down the street, and I stood there, feeling something settle inside my chest. Not grief, not relief, control. Goodbye, Richard Bennett. Goodbye, Eleanor Bennett. When the world freezes again, I hope Olivia Bennett's mental wealth keeps you warm. The extra 50 million sitting in my account felt like adrenaline injected straight into my veins. But I wasn't naive. When the world freezes, cash turns into decoration. Supplies become law. I scrolled through my contacts and dialed Olivia Bennett. In my previous life, she perfected the role of the gentle, loving sister. Soft voice, moist eyes, harmless smiles. Behind the scenes, she sabotaged everything I touched. The call connected quickly.
Is that Nora?
Olivia's voice floated through the speaker. Sweet, fragile.
Dad and Mom transferred the money, right? Please don't blame them. They were in a difficult position.
Listen to that. 3 sentences. Responsibility erased. Halo secured. I swallowed the disgust rising in my throat and let my voice tremble deliberately.
I don't blame them. It was my fault. I shouldn't have been so greedy.
Don't say that.
She replied quickly.
The Bennett family owed you. Oh. What are you planning to do with the money? I can help you decide. There are several new luxury boutiques downtown. Beautiful bags. Limited jewelry collections.
Of course, in her world, money only existed to shine. I followed her rhythm.
That sounds nice. I honestly don't know how to spend it. I grew up differently. Could you recommend a few large supermarkets or wholesale markets first? I eat a lot. I'm worried about running out of food.
There was a pause. A tiny one, then a light laugh.
Nora, you're adorable. Fine, I'll send you some addresses. But don't buy too much, okay? Wasting food isn't elegant.
Elegant.
Thank you, Olivia.
I hung up. The sweetness evaporated from my face instantly. Adorable. When the temperature drops below -70 and the power grid collapses, I wonder how elegant starvation feels. A few seconds later, the addresses arrived. One of them was a flagship warehouse supermarket owned by Bennett Group. In my previous life, that was where Richard Bennett publicly dismissed me, where Eleanor Bennett let the staff laugh, where Olivia stood beside them, smiling sympathetically. This time, I'm emptying it, but not yet. First, infrastructure. I rented a massive warehouse on the outskirts of the city. Remote location, strict security, and most importantly, a reinforced underground basement. Perfect. Then I began ordering online like a war strategist. Industrial-grade generators, solar charging panels, high-capacity battery banks, commercial heaters, military-level cold weather gear, mountaineering boots, snow sleds, thermal blankets, water filtration systems. Everything that kept me alive last time. Every single item went into my cart. When I finished, my order history looked like preparation for a private apocalypse. Good. Preparation phase complete. Now, acquisition begins. I put on a baseball cap and mask, rented a heavy-duty cargo truck, and drove straight to the Bennett-owned warehouse supermarket. Largest in the city. Largest mistake of their lives. Last time I stood here humiliated. This time, I walked in like a silent shareholder. I grabbed the largest industrial cart available and went directly to the store manager.
I need to purchase supplies. In bulk.
He looked at my plain clothes, assessed me in half a second, and masked his doubt with a professional smile.
Of course, ma'am. What quantities are we talking about?
20,000 pounds of rice. 20,000 pounds of flour. 1,000 cases of instant noodles. Every flavor. 2,000 cases of self-heating hot pots. 5,000 cases of compressed survival biscuits, 10,000 gallons of bottled water.
With every item I listed, his eyes widened further. Shock, calculation, greed. By the end, he looked like he'd won the lottery.
Ma'am, are you certain about these amounts?
Yes.
I placed my card on the counter.
And I'll need the freshest meat available. Beef, pork, lamb, chicken, duck, fish. 500 pounds each. Vacuum sealed, rapid frozen, vegetables and fruit, whatever inventory you have, dehydrate and freeze dry everything, cooking oil, salt, sugar, soy sauce, vinegar, spices, hot pot bases, barbecue seasoning. Load an entire truck.
The manager practically vibrated with excitement.
No problem. We'll prioritize your order immediately.
Within minutes, the entire supermarket staff mobilized. Pallets rolled. Forklifts beeped. Employees rushed. All for me. Truck after truck was loaded directly from their warehouse inventory. At checkout, the total surpassed $15 million. I didn't blink. Last life, I needed permission to buy a 50-pound sack of rice. This life, I bought their shelves bare. And I wasn't done. For days, I drove across the city. Wholesale markets, pharmaceutical suppliers, coal yards, fuel depots, hardware distributors, agricultural stores, medical supplies, antibiotics, painkillers, surgical kits, diesel, propane, lumber, steel tools, seeds, soil, portable greenhouse materials. If it could preserve life, I purchased it. If it could trade for power, I doubled it. The warehouse filled, then overflowed. The underground basement transformed into something else entirely. Reinforced walls, independent ventilation, backup electrical grid, layered thermal insulation, a sealed interior living space. My fortress, my domain. For the first time since waking up again, I felt safe. 3 days remain before the extreme freeze begins. I lay back on the soft bed inside my secured underground shelter and scrolled through the news. Climate analysts dismissed the temperature anomaly. Energy officials denied grid instability. Experts called global cooling panic a conspiracy theory. The comment sections were calm, mocking, unbothered. Only I know the truth. In 72 hours, the world changes, and this time, I will not be the one left outside. 3 days later, the weather forecast was still flashing heat advisory orange level. And then, the temperature collapsed from 100 degrees Fahrenheit to 32 in less than an hour. No warning, no transition, just a vertical drop. Then the sky opened. Snow fell in thick, suffocating sheets, swallowing highways, rooftops, entire neighborhoods. It was as if someone muted the planet. Television broadcasts were abruptly interrupted. Anchors who had been smiling minutes earlier now stared at teleprompters in visible panic, reporting synchronized climate anomalies across continents. Within minutes, the internet lagged. Within 30, it crashed. Panic spread faster than the cold. People flooded supermarkets and gas stations, only to find shelves already stripped bare. Fights broke out. Gunshots echoed. Cars were abandoned mid-road. The city began tearing itself apart. I had seen it before. Every frame of chaos replayed like a familiar film. And I sat underground, wrapped in thick wool sleepwear, eating a steaming, self-heating hot pot. On the wall in front of me, dozens of surveillance feeds displayed the exterior of my warehouse. White. Only white. The blizzard had already buried half the parked vehicles outside. The digital thermometer glowed red on the monitor. Minus 58 degrees Fahrenheit. And this was only day one. In my previous life, it eventually dropped below -90. Cold that didn't just touch skin. It invaded bone. It hollowed you from the inside. I took another sip of broth. Warmth spread through my chest. Alive. I am alive. After eating, I began my inventory inspection. Mountains of sealed food. Barrels of clean water. Fuel reserves sufficient for over a decade. Medical storage sorted and labeled. Backup batteries stacked like bricks of gold. I even installed a compact home theater system and loaded thousands of ebooks onto encrypted drives. Olivia was right about one thing. Mental comfort matters, but only after survival is secured. As I adjusted future ration charts on my tablet, my phone vibrated. An incoming call. Mary Collins, the only person in this world who ever truly loved me. In my previous life, after I left with the Bennetts, I never saw her again. I only learned the truth after I died. She came to the city alone searching for me, got caught in the freeze. Frostbite destroyed her legs. She died beneath an overpass. Alone. The memory clenched around my heart like iron. Not this time. I answered immediately.
Nora, are you safe? It's snowing so hard. Do you have food? Are you warm?
Mary's voice trembled through the speaker. My vision blurred instantly. You see, real love sounds like that.
I'm okay, Mom.
I said, fighting the break in my voice.
I have everything. Don't worry. Where are you? I'm coming to get you.
Mary told me she had come to the city half a month ago. She didn't trust the Bennetts, didn't trust the silence. She followed some villagers who found construction work here. The site was less than 10 miles from my warehouse. The blizzard hit too fast. Temporary steel sheet dorms offered no insulation against this level of cold. Dozens of workers were crammed together. No food, no heating, burning scrap wood to survive.
Nora, don't come.
Mary cried through the phone.
It's too dangerous outside. You stay safe. I'm fine.
Don't move.
I said.
Wait for me.
I ended the call. No hesitation. I pulled on my highest grade cold weather suit, military thermal layers, reinforced outer shell, goggles, insulated gloves, breathing mask. Then I checked my snowmobile, custom modified, high torque engine, studded treads, auxiliary fuel tank, worth every dollar. I filled a tactical backpack with high calorie rations, thermal blankets, water, antibiotics, painkillers. Then I ignited the engine. The roar echoed through the underground garage. I drove straight into the storm. The outside world was no longer a city. It was an ice graveyard. Snow swallowed street signs. Cars were frozen mid-collision. Bodies lay stiff beside open doors. The wind cut across my visor like sharpened steel. But inside me burned fire. I will not lose her again. The original 15-minute drive stretched into over an hour. Visibility was nearly zero. Navigation systems glitched. I relied on memory and instinct. When the construction site finally appeared through the white haze, my stomach tightened. A few isolated prefab units stood trembling against the wind. They looked fragile, temporary, doomed. I parked and ran through knee-deep snow toward the nearest structure.
Mom! Mary?
I shouted, kicking doors open one by one. Inside, dozens of workers huddled together, shivering violently. When they saw my gear, my backpack, their eyes changed.
Food, please, help us.
Hands reached toward me, desperate, hungry. I didn't stop. I searched. And then, in the farthest corner of the last unit, I saw her, Mary Collins, curled against the wall, skin pale blue, lips cracked, holding a frozen bread roll against her chest like it was treasure. Her cloudy eyes lifted. They brightened instantly when they saw me.
Nora.
Mom?
I dropped to my knees and pulled her into my arms. Her body was ice, but she was breathing.
I'm here.
I whispered.
I've got you.
I carried her back to the snowmobile. Before leaving, I threw several ration packs and water bottles onto the floor of the dorm. The workers stared in stunned silence.
Ration it carefully.
I said evenly.
Whether you survive depends on you.
I am not a savior. My supplies are calculated, reserved for those I choose. I mounted the snowmobile, wrapped Mary tightly against me, and drove back into the storm. This time, I was not alone. The moment we returned to the warmth of the warehouse, I conducted a full physical check on Mary Collins. Core temperature stabilized, mild frostbite on her fingers, moderate dehydration, malnutrition, but reversible. No systemic damage. I exhaled for what felt like the first time in hours. I helped her change into clean thermal layers, wrapped her in insulated blankets, and brewed a pot of hot ginger soup. She held the bowl with trembling hands, sipping slowly. Color gradually returned to her face. The gray faded. Life came back. Only then did the tight knot in my chest loosen.
Mom?
I said gently, pointing toward the wall of surveillance screens.
This is home now.
The monitors displayed the storm raging outside, the white void, the buried streets, the lifeless skyline. Mary's face drained of color again.
What happened to the world?
Don't be afraid.
I said, taking her rough, calloused hand in mine.
If the sky falls, I'll hold it up. We have food. Water. Heat. No one can hurt us here.
She looked around at the endless stacks of supplies, then back at me. Her eyes turned red.
My Nora, you've grown up. You can protect Mom now.
Yes, I can, and I will. The days that followed settled into an isolated rhythm. While the world outside froze into silence, our underground fortress remained warm, structured, controlled. Every morning I trained. Strength circuits, endurance drills, reaction timing, controlled breathing in low temperatures. Then I taught Mary simple defensive movements, how to hold a tool properly, how to strike if necessary, how to move without wasting energy. We planted vegetables in the hydroponic section I built in the basement. We watched movies projected against reinforced concrete walls. We experimented with stored ingredients, turning emergency rations into surprisingly decent meals. Outside was apocalypse. Inside was intention. One afternoon, I was in the basement gym, sweat soaking through my thermal layer despite the controlled temperature, when the satellite phone rang. Unknown number. Very few people had this line. I answered. A weak, cracked voice trembled through the receiver. Eleanor Bennett.
Nora, please, help us. We're starving.
Her voice sounded older, smaller, desperate. I didn't respond.
We were wrong. I was wrong. I shouldn't have treated you that way. Please, for the sake of being your mother, give us some food.
Then,
Olivia, Olivia can't hold on much longer.
Olivia. The name slid past me without impact. No anger, no satisfaction, just emptiness.
Oh?
I said lightly.
What about mental wealth? Has the gaming console stopped working?
Silence, breathing, then shuffling. The phone was snatched away. Olivia's voice pierced through. Hoarse, sharp, hysterical.
Nora Collins, you're sick. You have supplies. Why won't you share? You just want to watch us die. If you had warned us properly, we wouldn't have bought so little. This is your fault. You did this.
The same script, different timeline. I almost laughed.
Olivia Bennett,
I said calmly.
are you hallucinating from hunger? When I walked away with $50 million, Richard Bennett made it very clear. No more relationship. If we're strangers, why would your survival concern me?
You.
I ended the call, blocked the number. No hesitation, no guilt. They made their choice. I made mine. After the call, my pulse remained steady. The Bennett family no longer had the ability to disturb my peace. This life is simple. Protect Mary. Strengthen myself. Survive. Mary recovered steadily under careful nutrition and warmth. Her smile returned. She even learned how to use one of the industrial sewing machines in storage and began altering thermal fabrics into fitted winter clothing for me. To improve our diet and pass time, I expanded the hydroponic area in the basement. Leafy greens, tomatoes, peppers, herbs. The first time we saw tiny green shoots break through nutrient trays, Mary clapped like a child. On day 50 of the freeze, we ate our first homegrown vegetables. Fresh, crisp, alive. It tasted better than any luxury banquet I had ever seen in the Bennett mansion. Beyond caring for Mary and maintaining the garden, I trained relentlessly. Dying once teaches clarity. In the apocalypse, strength is currency. Every day, weighted squats, deadlifts, sprints against resistance bands, grip strength drills, knife handling practice. I downloaded combat tutorials, wilderness survival manuals, emergency medical courses, repeated them until muscle memory replaced hesitation. My body transformed, faster, stronger, sharper. One afternoon, while clearing snow accumulation from the reinforced courtyard entrance, I noticed movement near the outer fence. An orange cat, emaciated, dragging one injured hind leg. It stared at me with guarded yellow eyes, growling softly. Animals were struggling even more than humans. I saw myself in it, alone, cornered, refusing to collapse. I went inside, grabbed a vacuum-sealed sausage, and tossed it gently across the snow. The cat sniffed it, paused, then devoured it with desperate speed. It didn't leave. The next day, it returned, and the next. I built a small insulated shelter near the inner gate, and placed thermal padding inside. I named him Atlas, because he carried himself like something heavier than his body. Mary adored him instantly. She cooked tiny portions of meat just for him. Within weeks, Atlas gained weight. His fur regained shine. His injured leg healed under basic care. He was clever, observant. He followed Mary around the warehouse, or perched beside me in the monitoring room, staring at the blizzard beyond the cameras, as if guarding the world. Our once minimal existence gained warmth. Laughter echoed more often. At night, I would look out at the endless white horizon, through reinforced glass, then back at Mary sleeping peacefully. Atlas curled beside her, purring softly. The world outside could freeze solid. Let it. This is my world now, and I will defend it with everything I have. Peace lasted until the 3rd month of the freeze. That morning, I was in the monitoring room as usual, scanning perimeter feeds. Movement flickered at the edge of camera 12, then camera 9. 3 figures. No, 5. They moved cautiously through the snow, keeping low, circling the outer fence line. Crowbars, sledgehammers, improvised weapons. I leaned back slowly. In the apocalypse, climate is predictable. People are not. Hunger strips morality faster than cold strips flesh. I activated the external speaker system. My voice echoed across the frozen yard, sharp and amplified.
This is private property. Leave immediately. Further advance will trigger defensive measures.
They froze, looked around, startled. For 3 seconds, I thought they might retreat. Then the largest one stepped forward and shouted toward the nearest visible camera.
We know you've got supplies in there. Open up and share, or we'll break in and take it.
Another voice chimed in, cracked with desperation.
We're starving. You can't hoard everything. Stop talking. Smash it!
They rushed the reinforced gate. Metal struck steel. Again. The sound echoed violently in the white silence. I felt nothing. No fear. No guilt. Just calculation. Conscience is a luxury item, and luxury items don't survive winter. Without another warning, I pressed the red button on the console. Instantly, concealed high-pressure cannons mounted along the outer wall deployed. Super-cooled water, stored specifically for this contingency, erupted in precise arcs. At -70 degrees Fahrenheit, water is not water. It is a weapon. The first blast hit them mid-stride. Screams tore through the air. Within seconds, their clothes stiffened. Ice formed along sleeves, across faces, sealing fabric to skin. They tried to run. The ground betrayed them. Another sweep. 30 seconds. 40. One by one, their movements slowed, stiffened, stopped. When the cannons shut down, the yard was silent again. 5 distorted shapes lay half-buried in rising frost. I watched without blinking. I do not enjoy killing, but I will not hesitate. Anyone who threatens my home, threatens Mary, becomes part of the snow. Behind me I heard soft footsteps. Mary stood at the doorway, wrapped in a blanket.
Nora, what was that?
Nothing, Mom.
I said calmly, shutting down the exterior feed.
Just a few rats.
I led her back toward the warmth of the underground level and handed her a cup of hot milk.
Whatever happens outside,
I told her gently.
never open the door. For anyone.
She nodded, still processing. Her world is small. I intend to keep it that way, even if I must stand against everyone else. I thought eliminating that group would buy silence. I underestimated desperation. 2 weeks later, a convoy entered my surveillance range. Armored, deliberate, leading the formation. A modified bulletproof SUV. I recognized the plate immediately. Richard Bennett. So, they found me. Doors opened. Richard Bennett, Eleanor Bennett, Olivia Bennett. They stepped out, bundled in heavy thermal gear, but even layers couldn't hide the damage. Sunken cheeks, gray skin, hollow eyes. They looked nothing like the polished elites who once dismissed me. Behind them stood over a dozen armed security personnel. Rifles, metal bats, forced confidence. They had invested significant resources into this search. Richard approached the main gate and lifted a megaphone.
Nora Collins, I know you're inside. Open the door.
The tone was familiar, commanding, entitled, as if I were still a problem to be managed. I remained seated in the monitoring room, silent.
Nora,
Eleanor's shrill voice cut through next.
we're your parents. You're going to let us freeze out here?
Parents. Now the word returns. Interesting. When they pushed me out into a death storm, that word meant nothing. Olivia stepped forward. Even through grainy footage, I could see she was weaker than before. She collapsed to her knees in the snow.
Please, Nora.
She cried, voice trembling.
We were wrong. All of us. Let us in. I'll do anything. I swear.
The performance was technically flawless. If I hadn't lived through her betrayal before, I might have applauded. I activated the intercom. My voice rolled across the frozen yard.
Richard Bennett, Eleanor Bennett, Olivia Bennett. State your purpose.
Relief flashed across their faces. Nora! Richard shouted.
Open the gate. We can't survive out here.
Open it?
I let out a soft laugh.
Why?
We're family.
Eleanor yelled.
Everything you have was bought with Bennett money. We're in trouble. You owe us.
Family, debt, obligation. The holy trinity of manipulation.
When you severed ties for $50 million,
I replied evenly.
the contract was clear. No relationship. As for the money, 18 years of abandonment. You underpaid.
Eleanor fell silent. Olivia looked up toward the nearest camera, tears streaking down her frozen face.
Sister, blood is thicker than water. Don't be cruel. Remember the 100 pounds of food we stocked? That was spiritual wealth too.
Spiritual wealth. There it was. I laughed. Truly laughed. The sound echoed through the speakers, sharp against the empty white landscape.
You're still talking about spiritual wealth? Then stay outside and meditate on it. I hope it nourishes you.
I cut the transmission. They screamed, begged, cursed. The security team advanced toward the gate. Predictable. I pressed the same red button. High-pressure cannons deployed once more. The guards tried to shield themselves. They lasted less than a minute. One by one, they stiffened under the assault of freezing water. Fell. Silence returned. Richard staggered backward. Eleanor collapsed beside him. Olivia screamed until her voice broke. I watched through thermal imaging as their body heat signatures weakened, dimmed, flickered, then gone. The snow resumed its quiet descent, covering everything evenly, erasing status, erasing pride, erasing bloodlines. I turned off the monitor. Outside, the Bennett legacy ended in ice. Inside, Mary was preparing dinner. Atlas was asleep by the heater, and I was exactly where I chose to be. The arrival of the Bennett family was nothing more than a brief disturbance, a failed invasion, a footnote. Within days, their bodies disappeared beneath layers of relentless snowfall. The storm buried them without ceremony, without gravestones, without legacy. No trace remained. I felt no sympathy, no guilt. Cause and effect is the only law that never collapses. They chose their path. The snow simply completed it. Time accelerated after that. In disaster, days blur, weeks dissolve. Before I knew it, the extreme freeze had lasted 1 full year. The world beyond my perimeter remained an endless field of white. Temperatures hovered around -60 degrees Fahrenheit, steady and merciless. Civilization had shattered under the weight of climate collapse. Governments folded, markets vanished, power grids died. Human arrogance proved far more fragile than ice. And yet, life adapts. It always does. Inside my fortress, we were not surviving. We were thriving. Mary Collins, Atlas, and me. Our underground greenhouse now supplied more than enough fresh vegetables for daily consumption. Hydroponic racks lined the reinforced lower chamber, LED grow lights humming with quiet precision. I engineered a small ecological loop using salvaged warehouse materials, water filtration cycling through nutrient beds, compost heat, redirected for thermal efficiency. Chickens, rabbits, controlled breeding, predictable yield, fresh eggs every morning became our small luxury in a frozen world. Comfort tastes better when earned. Over the past year, I allowed a few people past my outer perimeter. Not many, only those who proved something rare: restraint, integrity, a moral spine that hadn't snapped under pressure. Daniel Mercer, a former Army mechanic with hands steady enough to rebuild a generator from scrap metal. Dr. Sophia Alvarez, calm under crisis, precise, a physician who still treated life as sacred, even when the world treated it as disposable. Jake Thompson, Emily Thompson, and their young son, Lucas Thompson, a family that still held hands when they thought no one was watching. I observed them for weeks before revealing myself, tested them, measured risk. Then I opened the gate. Strategically, deliberately, we formed something small but solid, a controlled community. The expanded warehouse became a structured shelter zone, clearly assigned quarters, rotational duties, layered security protocols. Daniel reinforced external barriers and optimized our mechanical systems. Sophia established a medical bay. Jake assisted with structural work and supply runs. Emily managed food processing and education for Lucas. Every role mattered. Every contribution earned protection. We reinforced defenses together, conducted calculated scavenging operations when conditions allowed, returned each time to warmth, to light, to stability. Every safe day became a quiet victory. And today, it was New Year's Day. 1 year since the world tried to freeze us out of existence. We prepared a feast. Fresh eggs, stewed rabbit, hydroponic greens, preserved fruit from controlled storage. Nothing extravagant. Everything meaningful. We sat together in the underground dining space, insulated walls glowing softly under warm lighting. Juice filled our glasses. No alcohol. Clear minds build lasting futures.
To another year,
Jake said.
To survival,
Daniel added. Sophia smiled.
To health.
Lucas raised his cup with both hands.
To spring.
Mary looked at me across the table. Her eyes were filled with pride and something softer.
Thank you, Nora.
She said quietly. I shook my head with a small smile.
Mom, I should be thanking you. You taught me something before the world collapsed. That no matter what happens outside, love and family are the real survival infrastructure.
Silence followed. Not heavy, not fragile, just full. Atlas stretched beside the heater, tail flicking lazily, completely unimpressed by human milestones. I stepped toward the periscope and looked out over the wasteland. The storm still moved across the horizon. Snow spiraled endlessly. The world remained frozen. But I understood something most people never will. Winter is not permanent. Systems fail. Empires fall. Climate shifts. And beneath ice, life waits. Spring will come. Maybe not tomorrow. Maybe not gently. But it will come. And when it does, we will still be here. Prepared. Structured. Unbroken. I did not just survive the apocalypse. I mastered it. And I will continue to. Until the thaw. I used to think survival was the goal. It isn't. Survival is just the entrance fee. For a year, the world outside has been freezing, starving, collapsing. Governments went silent. Supply chains snapped. Cities died quietly under snow. But information never truly dies, and neither does opportunity. 3 weeks ago, one of the long-range scanners Daniel Mercer repaired picked up something unusual. A weak but organized radio transmission. Not chaos. Not begging. Coordination. Structured logistics codes. Someone is rebuilding, and they're running out of food. I didn't respond. Not yet. Instead, I opened my inventory database. Grain reserves. Stable for 8 more years. Medical stock, unmatched within a 500-mile radius. Fuel cells, sufficient. Livestock breeding ratios, sustainable. Water purification output, scalable. I'm not guarding scraps. I'm sitting on infrastructure. When they finally trace the signal back to this region, when they realize there's a functioning agricultural and medical hub buried under this ice, they won't knock with weapons. They'll knock with contracts. And this time, I won't be the girl they discarded. I won't be the daughter they underestimated. I won't be the one begging to be let in. I will decide who eats, who trades, who rebuilds, and who doesn't. Outside, the storm keeps howling. Inside, Atlas stretches lazily by the heater. Mary Collins is laughing with Emily Thompson in the kitchen. Daniel Mercer is reinforcing the outer grid. Dr. Sophia Alvarez is cataloging antibiotics. This isn't a bunker anymore. It's leverage. Spring will come, not because we prayed for it, but because people like me ensured there would be something left worth thawing. And when the new world rises, it will rise on supply lines I control. I don't need revenge anymore. The cold already judged everyone. Now it's my turn to negotiate.